All right, we're going to reconvene to open session, call to order at 6 o'clock. How about that? No actions were taken in closed session, and attendance roll call. Clerk Elkisham is absent. Trustee Lopez?
Here.
Trustee Reed?
Here.
Trustee Belinda?
Here.
And President Maxfield. Will you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approve, adopt the agenda. Any changes? No. Indira, all in favor? Aye. And absent. Number 9, district mission statement. We're a collaborative, culturally rich educational community where a rigorous and innovative curriculum prepares our students to be successful contributors to our global society. This is the fun part. Item 10, recognition. The Board of Education recognizes students, employees, or members of the community who have received recognition for academic or athletic achievement who have been made significant contributions of any kind to the district. The following individuals will be recognized. Miss Elena Sysak. It is my pleasure to introduce her, who just retired at the end of this school year. Ms. Sysak has been with the district since August of 1996 and has taught 1st, 2nd, and 5th grade. She has served as a teacher representative for the School Site Council, PTA, CEF, and concluded her career as a member of the CES leadership team. And she was also Claire's 1st grade teacher. And my daughter went from kindergarten to 1st grade, and she didn't like the rules.
I like the jelly beans.
Didn't like the jelly beans, but didn't like the rules, because 1st grade was a little bit more strict than kindergarten. Anyways, unfortunately, Principal Lamar couldn't make it tonight because she's at training in Southern California, but she wanted to pass along this message. It's been a pleasure to work with Elena for the past 2.5 years, and has been such a committed teacher and demonstrates high commitment to the community and student learning. She is high energy, and there is many a time when I've done the walkthroughs when I see her actively working with students in small groups or leading lively classroom activity. She works closely with our parent community, and she puts the students front and center in all her work at Calistoga Elementary School. She's a key member of the 1st grade team. She will be missed next year. So we all would like to give a congratulations to Ms. Sysak.
What do you want?
It's not in front of the screen. Let's maybe do it, yeah, just come closer. Perfect.
Okay.
So shake with the right and with the left, right? Yes.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure, and I'm not going away. We'll see you.
Okay, moving on. Superintendent.
I want to introduce our new Director of Ed Services and Human Resources, Michael DeFrancesco, is here with his family.
Welcome, Michael. You have a Klingon.
All right. Some of you have met, but this is my wife, Heidi.
Hi, Heidi.
Heidi's a school psychologist. This is Jack. Jack is 5, and Jack's going to kindergarten. And this is Lily. Lily's 2. And Lily kind of keeps us grounded with her sense of humor and positive attitude. But anyways, this is the family. And just a few words. I want to thank everyone that was involved in my hiring process. conversations with parents, conversations with students. But I do walk in as a learner. A lot of ways as I need to learn a lot about this community and the school system. I'm also very excited to meet the staff, classified and certified. In a small district, the benefit is we get to know each other. Like, everyone should know everyone. And it's, in my role, I should know every single person that works in this district. And so I'm very excited about the task of getting to meet each person that works for this district. So sooner than later, that will begin. But thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. It is humbling. It is an honor. I'm very excited for the future. So thank you so much. So as educators, we're pretty big believers in structure for our kids. And one of those things is the 7 o'clock bedtime. And though it's limiting on our personal life, we believe that that 7 o'clock bedtime is sacred. And so we are going to leave now and try to put that off. But it really is a pleasure to be here. I look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.
Well, welcome. Welcome. All right. Hi, guys.
Congratulations. Congrats.
All right. Moving on. Item 11, public hearing. As an elected governing body of Calistoga Unified School District, the Board of Trustees conducts public hearings for the purpose of maintaining open communication with parents, students, and residents of the Calistoga community and school district. Through the public hearing process, trustees seek ideas and viewpoints regarding the efficiency and quality of district-sponsored programs or any other area of operation of the district and its schools. Trustees believe that open communication is a key element in the ongoing process of district, school, and program improvement. 11.1, public hearing, 2018 to 19 local control accountability plan. And we're going to open the public hearing at 6:08. Comments from staff board?
Well, as you can see, the document is in your packet, and the LCAP for every district is often very long, at least 100 pages in most districts.
You don't want to stick around?
Not tonight.
Okay, all right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so not only is it a lengthy document, but it's pretty cumbersome. And so I have given this particular presentation, I've made a few changes in it, but I've given it to the site council, to the LCAP advisory committee, to both the Calistoga Association of Teachers, and then our CSEA reps, so that everybody's aware of what's in the document. This is just going to be an overview tonight, but it'll give you a chance to ask me questions, or if the public has questions as well. So this is a 3-year plan. It began last year, the 17-18 year, and then it'll end 3 years later. So we're in the 2nd year of this plan. And as you probably are aware, the state has 8 priorities for all school districts in California. So those are the same for every single school district. And within the document, we have to address each of those priorities. So currently, the district had 4 goals. It's my understanding that you had significantly more a few years ago, and like many districts, you reduce those down, and that was a very common practice. So currently we have the 4, and when I first looked at the LCAP, when I came to the district, I had a little bit of trouble distinguishing between goal 2 and goal 4. There were a lot of similarities between the 2. So it's my recommendation that we revise the LCAP goals and reduce it even further down to 3 goals. So I've combined 2 and 4, and you'll see that in the actual document. So one of the requirements is that we have to get stakeholder input. Stakeholder is a term that represents your parents, your students, and your staff. So we surveyed all 3 of those groups in the district through either electronic surveys or actually paper surveys. We sent them to our parents. And I split it out to show you what our parents, you've seen some of the results already, but I wanted to hit review one time. So in our academic programs, the top 2 things are things that we're doing very well. And that's again according to our stakeholders as a group. They are pleased that we are promoting academic excellence, and we do a great job of our brain technology. We're 1-to-1 in the district, and we've upgraded many of those devices this year. The last 3 things on the slide are the areas that our stakeholders felt that we need to focus on. Those are areas for growth. So we heard over and over, we need programs for higher achievers and also intervention supports for our struggling learners. And increasing our paraprofessional support staff in the classroom and then professional development for staff. So we had lots and lots of comments from our stakeholders. Paula only has written down the comments that were said over and over and over by people. Number four, increase the number of paraprofessionals. There were actually only 4 staff that said that, and then the same is true on the professional development. The top 3, we had a lot more responses. So that's academic programs. We also are required to assess our school climate, seeing that we have a positive learning environment for students. Overwhelmingly, that was said by all 3 groups of our stakeholders. That we have a safe place, students are treated with respect, regardless of who they are. However, the bottom 3 things again are the areas for growth. Overwhelmingly, we heard from parents and students that they want to see our restrooms cleaner. Staff wants to increase grade level collaboration, in particular on our early release days on Wednesdays. And then the students voiced their concerns about our cafeteria food.
So this
Not unusual for kids.
be more hot Cheetos, right?
And the third area is our parent involvement. That again is a requirement of the state now that we need to always increase our parent involvement. So the top, we were a little bit surprised that so many of our families have access to the internet, and that's a good thing because we have been sending home a lot more electronic communication, and our number of hours maybe our program actually going to increase that. Surprisingly too, parents said that they want most of their communication by phone. They like more family nights. We had increased those this year, we need to increase them more in the future, and overwhelmingly students and parents, or staff and parents, felt we needed more communication. So what I've done, because again, I'm not going to go through every single page of the LCAP, these are the sections of the LCAP that we are required to have. And so you have to do a review of your performance. So this is looking back at scores from last year. So these are scores from the last year for this year. And blue on the school dashboard is the very highest you can get, and red again is the lowest. So I pointed out to you what areas, and I color-coded there for you so you can see them quickly. We should be very, very proud of our graduation rates. They're extremely high for all schools in California. They have been between 95 and 96%. Our English learners are making remarkable progress on their redesignation, so they're at the green level, which is also fantastic. Our local interim assessments this year were implemented. That was one of the goals of the district in last year's LCAP. And our interim assessments are showing a little bit different results than the CASP, in that kids are beginning to show improvement on the local assessment. So those are assessments that we're giving more frequently through the course of the year to measure student growth. We don't wait to the very end of the year, we give it periodically throughout the year. And then the last thing is that for the first time in a number of years, we were able to provide after-school tutoring because we applied for and received Title I funds. So we had teachers who were actually paid after school to work on students at every single grade level on English languages. So we're also required in that review and performance section to talk about what our greatest needs are. Of great concern is that all of our student groups decreased in performance levels from 16-17 to 17-18. So the state is paying attention to groups of students. So there is an all-student group, meaning that's all students in your district. It breaks down by English learners, students with disabilities, socioeconomically disabled students, or Spanish students, and Hispanic students. So I showed you where they've decreased and how much they've decreased. decrease. So you can just read quickly the concern there. Again, it's every student group in the district. So the top two paragraphs represent the school dashboard results. And the bottom is the EAP, that is also pulled from the CASP. So it's of concern that at the high school level, only 20% of our students, based on the CASP results of the 11th grade test results, are considered ready for college in English language arts, and only 5% in math. Again, that's only the 11th graders, because we don't test 9th, 10th, and 12th graders on the CASP. So once we look at our greatest needs, the state is particularly concerned about any levels of or any groups of students who are 2 levels apart. So that is a concern in that our white students are scoring at green, and our students with disabilities are red. So that's more than 2 levels of difference. In ELA, there's also a significant performance gap. So our groups of students are all students, our low-income kids, our English learners and Hispanic are performing at orange, whereas our white students are up at green. So again, there's more than one level of difference between the two, or between those groups. And then in math, again, there's a significant concern because those same groups of students again are scoring at orange, and our white kids are scoring at green. So as a district, we are required to talk about how are we going to address those needs. So these are the 3 things that I've written. There's going to be more just a minute as far as increased recruit services, but this is what we're using our supplemental concentration grant monies to try to somehow address these kids' needs. So the first one is that I told you we're increasing the support for our low achieving students with the addition of full-time academic intervention specialists. We actually approved that position and approved the hire of Denise Hughes for that job. The second one is also new. We're going to be adding a full-time math teacher position to the junior senior high school to provide academic intervention in the form of strategic classes for our low achieving students. So I will bring back to you at a later date specifically what that plan is going to look like for those kids. And then the last one is the elementary school is going to implement restorative practices. There was also concern with the number of suspensions that we've had at the schools in the last couple of years, and so we're required to reduce our suspension rates. Again, this is not probably unique to our school, it's probably throughout the state of California. So we're going to be implementing restorative practices this next year in the elementary school. So in addition to those, we have lots of other new actions and services that we're going to be implementing to address the needs of our students. Because our caseload of special ed students to teachers is higher than it should be, we have hired an additional special education teacher to provide more intensive services to our kids with disabilities. That teacher will serve only grades K through 6. We also are purchasing new iPads for all of our kindergarten and first grade classrooms. We have done a great job of purchasing new Chromebooks for students in the upper grades as they've aged and working. So we have not yet done the kindergarten first. We'll focus on second grade the following year. We also are required to adopt the NGSS curriculum, and so we'll be spending this year selecting it and hopefully purchase a new curriculum by the end of the school year so that the cost of that is incorporated in the budget, which Jenna will cover later. We also need to implement the Study Sync program for English at the junior senior high school. In particular, junior high students in that curriculum. We also have just increased the College and Career Center coordinator position. It was a 0.6 position. It will be a 1 FTE next year so that we can provide services to kindergarten through 12th grade students. The next one is partnering with local colleges. It's been a big movement in California to move away from advanced placement courses and move to dual enrollment courses so that kids are able to earn college credit while they're in high school. So we're in the process of establishing an MOU with a couple of colleges that will offer that to our kids. I'm hopeful by the spring semester of this year, if not by spring semester, by the fall of next year. Next one is a part-time library technician position. That was a position that was in existence a year ago. And it's been a detriment to our students that we have not had that position because they are not able to use the library after hours. And a lot of the kids go there to access technology as well as other library resources and just get extra assistance with homework and their studies after school. So that will allow the person to assist our kids in the afternoons. And then also, we are implementing a summer school math class for students in grades 7 and 8. I got the summer school numbers today, and that class is completely full. And we also are implementing an ELD class for our English learners. We did not have that class last year because we lost our teacher unexpectedly, but we have a teacher, so we're going to be offering it this year. So that was just under goal 1. That was just for academics. In addition, goal number 2, providing a safe, healthy, positive school environment. I just mentioned we need to implement restorative practices at CES. The intent is that this year they will implement the program and then we'll start implementing the program at the junior senior high school next year. This allows us to have other alternatives to suspension for kids who are having trouble with behaviors. We also want to provide training to our staff at both junior and senior high school levels on identification and prevention of human trafficking. That is actually now a law that all school districts have to provide that. So we've got the curriculum and our teachers have been trained. It'll be taught in both 7th and 9th grade next year. The third goal goal 3 is increasing parent engagement and enhancing communication. Again, that was something we heard from our stakeholders that we need improvement in our communication. I am very excited that we're going to implement the ARIES communication system that will allow our parents to get messages via text, email, and phone all at the same time. Special significance is that it will allow translation. So if a teacher does not speak Spanish, they can type the message and it automatically translates it into the home language. So whatever language the parent has checked on the student information system is their home language, then it will translate into that language. When the parent receives it, they type back their response, it will translate back to the original language from the sender. So we think it will improve communication between our teachers and our parents. So I'm going to let Jenna talk about, the requirements for how we spend our monies and sorting our unduplicated accounts kids.
Okay, so even though we're not LCFF funded, we are required to provide services above and beyond for our unduplicated pupils. So that percentage, the 27.9%, basically indicates the level of additional services that we need to provide as a district to those unduplicated pupils. And in our LCAP, we designate different objectives. So Erin puts the actions in, I put the dollars, and then we designate if it's supplemental or concentration. And it calculates the total at the end to make sure that we are meeting that obligation because we don't receive additional funding for that. But we still have to account for that and provide those services.
So any questions? Bill, okay?
The positive note was the reclassification from our English learners, but yet academically they're still performing in the orange and red. That is correct.
That's correct.
Does anybody else have any questions? Go ahead.
The suspensions for the grammar school, has that been an issue?
It has. At both schools.
At both schools, but the grammar school too?
Yeah, actually, one of the only areas that we rank above California standards is suspension. It's California above their standards is suspension.
And I will tell you that the schools have made a real effort this year, this school year, to reduce the number of suspensions.
I have a statement. I didn't want to get lost in the numbers, and I just wanted to really hopefully that my point would get across here. So I wrote it down and refined my thoughts a little bit. So please allow me. It's disappointing that student performance has dropped even lower than it was before, and that the achievement gap of our students is so large. I think it's safe to say that our current approach to addressing the challenges of our student body is not as effective as we would like it to be. There are numbers of studies showing that there are academic benefits to ethnic studies curriculum and a big push in California to add ethnic studies as a high school graduation requirement. There are programs called Latinos in Action, or LIA, which is an enhancement to AVID. For AVID caters to the Tier 1 students, LIA caters to the Tier 2 and 3, bringing them up, closing the achievement gap. It's a program used nationally and has college chapters as well. There are also programs called EXIPO, which stands for Chicano Institute of Teaching and Organizing. It focuses on professional development for teachers using a cultural approach to education. They too are a national organization and are already being used in Napa Valley College and Napa High. These programs have proven results for students similar to ours, and I would like to request that the superintendent look into an ethnic studies curriculum, the LIA program for AVID enhancement, and EXIPO program for professional development to see what can be done to bring them all to our district. It might be appropriate to add them to the LCAP goals, actions, and services section. Thank you.
Anybody else? Public? Oh, all right. So it's council staff, board, council public. We're going to close the public hearing at 6:28. 11.2 public hearing 2018-19 budget. And we're going to open the public hearing at 6:28. Comments from staff and board?
So first I'm going to go over a brief state update and then of course the preliminary budget and then just summarize the important points. So again, this year the governor allocated some one-time funds for school districts. The unfortunate part is the original amount was $344 per ADA, and then after I completed this budget, I was informed that it has now been dropped to $168 per ADA. So this is something that between now and your adoption of the budget, I will have to adjust, unfortunately. Yeah. CTE funding has really been a big push at the state level also, and so the last I heard was that there's likely going to be a continuation of the CTE incentive grant, which we've received for the past 3 years. And there's also going to be an increase at the college level to work with the colleges to help the high school students that matriculate to colleges. So kind of a joint effort is the movement. So I listed out our revenue sources. These are LCFF revenue sources as they call them. Our property taxes, the net increase I budgeted was a 5.45% increase. Sonoma County, I budgeted 3.5% and Napa 6%. There's still question about Sonoma County, and to this point, I have reached out, and they're still, even for this entire school year that we just had, are going on estimates. So it's very challenging for them on their end as well. Our Sonoma taxes are pretty volatile anyways because it's such a small portion, so it doesn't take a lot to create fluctuation in our Sonoma revenue. So that being said, even if there are losses, there can also be gains by other increases in assessments or sales of properties. So really, at this point, this is usually what they recommend and what they have recommended in the budget for next year. So when I get more information, I'll share that, but at this point, it is still a little bit up in the air. The rest of our funding, nothing significant. The numbers with asterisks are restricted funds. For our mental health dollars actually went up through the SELPA, and that's because that's our state and federal portion. And that's because we actually have a pretty high count of students with IEPs receiving those services. So fortunately, we get more funding from the SELPA for that. And you can see there's a state portion of $96,000. That's a 30% increase, which is great. Because as we know, special ed is notoriously underfunded. I always like to mention our STRS on behalf portion. That is the requirement that was implemented that we account for Calistoga's portion of the state's liability of STRS. So it's one of those things that's just an accounting entry, it doesn't affect our bottom line, but if you look at it, it does show up in our revenue, and it does show up in our expenses. And then at the bottom, CTE incentive grant, we will be getting $63,000 for that whole school year to continue that with our science at the high school. So there's always question of contributions and what that means. So from our unrestricted general fund, we make contributions to different programs. As you can see, the majority of those contributions go to special education, and a small portion to restricted maintenance, and then a small portion to the elementary school outdoor education program. So this is in alignment with what you already heard from the superintendent, but these are some of the added positions for the next school year. So those have also been built into the budget. And then any assumptions for individual step increases. And just a reminder that step increases are really a raise for a single person, right? And then column increases are usually if someone has gotten further education, and so that's another increase. That you can't really predict, just depends. So here's the latest with STRS and PERS increases. Fortunately, PERS actually came in less than they predicted, but it's still pretty crazy when you look at that we're actually already to this point. It seems really far away a long time ago. And further, he died. There's a portion further, I'll show you the, oh, now it worked. Oh, I'm sorry. Where I'll show you more of the STRS and PERS and statutories. I want to mention a couple of our big ticket items. So, as mentioned in the LCAP, we are increasing purchases for iPad replacements. They're very costly. We've had them for a while. We're due to upgrade kindergarten and first grade, so that is cool. And then the $135,000 for the science curriculum is an estimate at this point. That was kind of going based on the last time we did a big adoption. And so we'll know better once we actually go through that process. And then there's also been efforts to make decreases or where necessary or where possible. And so, as you know, Louise Owens and Eric Heitz have taken on the athletic director, and they've done a really good job of being more efficient and trying to find areas to reduce costs. So they actually did reduce about $25,000. And then same with the cafeteria program. It is very big into efficiency and promoting different ways to spend less, make more, and so he's done a good job as well of reducing some costs. Kind of like our contributions, our transfers out are to other funds. So we always make a contribution to our cafeteria fund and our facilities fund. So for multi-year projections, the assumptions I used basically was no increases because we have not negotiated increases for the next year, and assuming about a 2.78% increase for certificated steps. But as you can see, that range can be very greatly depending on step and column adjustments. And for classified, a 0.5% increase for step, and that also has quite a wide range of what the difference can be depending on the individual person. So this shows our statutories, as we call them. So what is charged on the base salary of our personnel, and the last couple years, and then where we are in 18-19, and then where we're going to be in 19-20. And as you can see, for classified next year, it's about 27.5% of the base salary, and for certificate, it's about 19.5%. So good news is that, we've been making great strides to increase the reserves, and the outlook for the next couple years is that we will probably be able to bring our reserves back to the board policy of 20%. Of course, it only takes, which sounds like a lot, but in a $16.5 million budget, $125,000 about to adjust that a percentage. So, but as of now, this is what we're looking at. So just to give you an idea of some of the reserve assignments, we can make assignments in our reserves for money that needs to be set aside. So we had established that trust for STRS and PERS increases a few years ago. At this point, that money is being assigned in the general fund, because once you move it to a trust, you don't have the cash flow. And so you have to start borrowing money if you don't have cash flow. So for last year, it's $100,000, or this current fiscal year that we're in, and then 18-19 is another $100,000. And then there's also $75,000 set aside for future technology upgrades, because as we know, when you implement technology, it's great, but that means that everything needs to be replaced around the same time. So, and then that's another thing that with those one-time funds, the goal is to use that for technology as well as the remainder for professional development for staff at this point, and then the other portion, if there's any remaining, for the adoption of the new curriculum. Because anytime we get one-time funds, we want to use it on something that is one-time, right? We don't obligate it on the cost. So again, I always point out 1 month of payroll is about $960,000, and considering that we do not get our cash until pretty much November, December of each year, that means we have to last those months on our reserves. And so that's the fortunate part, that we've been building up our reserves and haven't had to borrow, but if we did, there would be obviously debt issuance costs to maintain cash flow. And for next year, that doesn't look like that's going to be an issue. And special ed. So special ed I always like to talk about because it's it changes a lot, it's very unpredictable. But I think it's important to recognize that the state and federal government always underfunded special ed, which means a district makes quite a large contribution, and this is of course common for all school districts. So, depending on the situation, the one student could cost up to $200,000, we just don't know, and those students can come any time during the year, or their needs can change during the year, so that's a big fluctuation. So it's always something to keep in mind, and we always have to pay attention to. That it can change quite significantly. And those are usually base costs. If we have to provide other services like transportation or aids, that's on top of those costs. And last, I'm not always say the same thing every time, but just we need to remain prudent. It's great that we're building up our reserves, and even though we have a good financial situation, we always have to think about what we do.
So how, over the last couple of years, what is the increase in special ed costs? What's it been? Or has it been steady?
It's gone up a little bit. It changes quite a bit, sometimes from budget to end of year, because sometimes initial services set up, the kid doesn't need that level of services. But it has gone up every year, and sometimes it's up, I'd say probably close to 1,000. Usually on an annual basis.
Any other questions, comments? Comments from the public?
All I have to say is important to keep our students healthy because it takes one rainy season
To wash out a creek and...
Exactly, so it's to be very careful with this. So, thank you.
Any others? Okay. Move on. We're going to close the public hearing at 6:40. Moving on, public comments, 12.0. Public business from the floor, non-agendized items. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the board Any item regarding board business that is not on the agenda. Without taking action or entering into a dialogue with the public, board members may briefly respond to statements made or ask clarifying questions about topics posed by the public. Your matter may be referred to administration. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Are there any white cards? Moving on. 13, reports, correspondence, discussion items. 13.1, superintendent's report.
I just want to thank you all for your participation in our promotion and graduation ceremonies at the end of school. I also appreciate the effort that was put forth by our administrators, our secretaries, our buildings and grounds crew, just preparing and cleaning and setting up things. It takes a lot of effort by a lot of people. And it was really fun for me to get to experience the Calistono traditions for the very first time. So thank you all. I wanted you to know also that our summer school program began today, and our classes are full, with the exception of one, and that's our ELD class. We only had 9 students report to school today. So our secretaries were on the phone this afternoon trying to solicit a little more participation than we had on the first day, but every other class is completely full, so I'm really pleased with that. So it's a neat program. And then I just was pleased to see that our new director of ed service was able to take some time to come in, because we're all excited about the year ahead. And we only have one more meeting, and then I'm in July.
This will be next week. All right.
What
Anything else?
I have to say about the summer teachers program that started also today. There are 10 children enrolled in that program. We are never going to visit the program this year, so this month is going to be, it's going to be helpful to them to develop some of the skills that they are going to put in on. So we're very happy that we have 10 kids in the program.
It's an excellent program. Very good.
Moving on, item 14, consent calendar requires a roll call vote. Actions proposed for the consent agenda are deemed routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless any member of the board, the audience, or staff requests items be removed from the consent agenda for separate action. So I'm looking for a motion. And all in favor? Aye. And absent is one. And this is a roll call vote, so Clerk Elsham is absent. Trustee Lopez? And Trustee Reed?
Aye.
Trustee Blumer? And President Maxfield? Aye. 15 action items. Protocol for action items includes a staff presentation, questions from the board, public input, deliberation by the board, and voting by the board. During public input, there will be a 3-minute time limit per person. 15.1, 2018-19 designation of CIF representatives to the league. Aaron.
This is an annual requirement for CIF. The only difference is that we have 2 new athletic directors this year.
And so that would be Louise and Eric.
And Eric.
And then is Craig on that too?
He is.
Looking for a request to approve. Indira, seconded. Matt, all in favor?
Aye.
Absent is Julie. 15.2, declaration of need for fully qualified teachers. The district must submit an annual declaration certifying that there are insufficient number of certified persons who meet the district's specified employment criteria for fully qualified educators and limited assigned credentials.
We expect that all of our teachers are going to be appropriately credentialed when school starts, but it is a good practice for a board to pass the declaration just in case we get into a situation where we have a teacher who's not fully credentialed. We need to have the declaration ready to go. So it allows us more flexibility.
And this, we do this every year.
You did.
Yes. Promotion.
So moved.
Matt, second. Indira, all in favor?
Aye.
15.3, 2018 to 2021 countywide expulsion plan. Every 3 years, the county superintendent, in conjunction with the superintendents of the districts within the county, are required to submit to the state superintendent of public instruction a plan for providing educational services to all expelled pupils in that county. Aaron, again.
So credit for this comprehensive plan goes to the county office for developing it. Fortunately, we have not had any expulsions in the last 3 or so years, so our district has not had to place any students in the county program, but it is there if we get into a situation that we expel students. They will provide services.
Recommendations to approve that, looking for motion. Yeah. All right. Matt, all in favor? Aye. Moving on. Board calendar, item 16, next Monday. Woohoo, June 18th, regular board meeting, 6 PM here. But then we're off all July, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And the importance of the next meeting is the adoption of the budget, adoption of the LCAP,
And before the time, it needs to be done before.
for the end of the month.
Okay, tentative future agenda items, well, it's all 618, budget, LCAP, and the board self-evaluation. That were great.
Check that out.
Check that off. No need to reconvene to close session, so I'm looking for number 20, our favorite one. Mark. All in favor? Second? Oh, Indira?
Aye.
All right, thank you for coming.